Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to step back in time, way back, to a single Saturday evening in 1912 in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And we're going to see this world completely through the eyes of an 11-year-old girl, Francie Nolan, as she goes through all the rituals, the challenges, and the quiet little moments that, for her, add up to what she'll remember as a perfect day.
So for the Nolan family, this was, well, it wasn't a simple question at all. You see, survival wasn't just about having money. It was about strategy, it was about ritual, and as we're about to see, sometimes it even involved a little bit of carefully planned deception. Every single penny had a job to do, and every errand was a mission.
And that brings us to the weekend's most critical mission, the trip to the butcher shop. Now, this wasn't just shopping, it was basically a performance. Francie and her brother Neeley are sent out with a very specific, very detailed set of instructions from their mother, designed to outsmart the system and get the absolute most for their dime. Yeah, the Nolans couldn't just afford to be, passive customers. They had to play a game, a carefully choreographed dance, to make sure they got their Sunday dinner. And Francie and her younger brother Neeley are armed with this clever, multi-step plan from their mother, Katie. Okay, check this out, because this is a masterclass in stretching a dime. Mama knows that the pre-ground meat just sitting there is probably a mix of, well, who knows what scraps. So step 1, demand a fresh piece of round steak. Step 2, and this is the genius part, get it weighed before it's ground. That way you know you're getting a full 10 cents worth of solid meat. Then, and only then, do you hit him with the extra requests, all to the butcher's growing rage.
And this is the result. He's been tricked again by a little girl just following her mother's brilliant plan. This is the butcher's bitter, whispered reaction. He knows he's been outplayed, and all for what? A single dime? It's such a raw moment, and it just shows you that constant tension between the shopkeepers and the poor families just trying to get by.
But then, just like that, the whole tone flips. At the very next shop, the kind Mr. Hassler gives Francie a prime soup bone for only 5 cents, and even gives her some friendly advice. This contrast is just fantastic. It shows the two sides of their world, one where you're constantly fighting against suspicion, and another where you find unexpected kindness from your neighbors.
Okay, so, with the whole high-stakes meat saga over with, Francie finishes up the rest of the errands. A few more pennies get her some horseradish and soup greens. And just like that, the key ingredients for the family's weekend meals are finally in the bag.
After a supper of fried meat patties and potatoes, and some smashed pie, Francie's evening shifts from the worldly to the spiritual. With the chores done, it's time for another weekly ritual, Saturday confession at the local church. Picture this. You're inside this smoky, incense-filled church. It's a place of ancient mystery and quiet ritual. Francie slips into the dark wooden confessional. She kneels down and waits for the priest to slide open that little door, ready to unburden herself of the small sins of a kid's week. Her sins, typical kid stuff, are quickly confessed and just as quickly forgiven. After she kneels at the altar rail to say her assigned penance, her soul is clean for another week. The ritual's complete. And waiting outside on the church steps is her friend Maudie. The two girls share a penny ice cream sandwich and walk with their arms around each other's waists. They part with this simple but really important promise, a bond of childhood friendship that gives their lives structure and certainty. It's such a small moment, but it's everything. So, when Francie gets home, the quiet of the Nolans' little apartment is gone. It is now filled with the sound of music, beer, and the kind of sad conversation of visiting relatives. Turns out her Aunt Evie and her husband, the perpetually sad Uncle Willie Flipman, are over for their regular Saturday visit. Uncle Flipman has brought his guitar, and the adults are just passing the evening singing songs. And after a few glasses of beer, Uncle Flipman starts in with his usual lament. He shares his sorrows with pretty much anyone who will listen, including this bizarre story about how he's convinced his milk wagon horse has it in for him. It's this little glimpse into adult despair that Francie just quietly watches from the sidelines. The night's entertainment is a pretty simple affair. Strong-smelling cheese on dark bread, more beer, and conversation. But for the Nolan children, the night always, and I mean always, ends the same way. Mandatory reading before bed. A page from the Bible and a page from Shakespeare. That's the rule. Later, long after the visitors have left and the house is totally quiet, Francie, who's sleeping on this makeshift bed of chairs in the front room, is woken up by a sound she knows well. It's her father, Johnny, coming home from his job as a singing waiter. Papa always comes up the stairs singing softly. It's this little game he plays with Mama. If she can get the door open before he finishes the verse, she wins. And tonight, she opens it right on the word crying. He puts his earnings on the table, $3 whole. Now you gotta remember, for a family that just played a whole chess match over a 10-cent piece of meat, $3 is a small fortune.
But the money isn't even the best part. He pulls out this paper bag, and inside, oh man, it's leftover food from the wealthy wedding party he just worked. For the kids, who are woken up to share in the feast, it's a taste of a completely different world. We're talking lobster, caviar, fancy cheese. It is just unimaginable luxury.
So, as you can imagine, wide awake from the late-night meal and all the excitement, Francie can't get back to sleep. She moves back to her spot at the front room window to just watch the city settle into those deep, quiet hours of the very early morning. From her perch, she has this secret view into the lives of her neighbors. She watches a young couple embracing in a doorway across the street, and their romantic moment gets cut short when the girl's angry father comes storming down in his long underwear to chase the boy away.
And then a more mysterious figure shows up. She sees Mr. Timoni, the reclusive pawn shop owner, returning in a horse-drawn cab from his glamorous evening in New York. In his silk hat and cape, he's like a character from another world, living this life of unbelievable sophistication right there in their gritty neighborhood.
And as a sea breeze blows over the rooftops of Brooklyn, the first sounds of dawn start to break the silence. A rooster crows from an Italian family's yard, a dog barks back, and a new day starts to stir. The night, and Saturday with it, is coming to an end. And in this final, quiet moment, just looking out her window, Francie holds on to the feeling of the day. A day of struggle, sure, but also ritual, family, and unexpected luxury. She decides to commit it to memory as a perfect day, a small, beautiful treasure in a world that's mostly defined by hardship. And before she finally drifts off to sleep, she knows this is one memory she'll always keep. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does it truly take to make a day perfect?